These are devotions for people at a social distance. As I have said many times, the readings that I've been doing in the scriptures in the last several months have been making me think a lot about current events, and today is no exception. My thoughts are very much on very significant deaths that have been taking place that seem to be changing the landscape, changing our relationship to all kinds of things. So it was rather interesting to be reading in the 23rd chapter of Genesis this morning. Now, at this point in the story of Genesis, Abraham has been wandering all over the place, wandering in the land of Canaan for a very long time. He has remained a wanderer. He's remained an alien and a stranger, and that hasn't really seemed to be much of a problem to him. But in chapter 23, something significant happens, and his wife, Sarah, dies. And as a result of that death and that grief, this is what it says, starting at verse 3. Abraham rose up from beside his dead and said to the Hittites, I am a stranger and an alien residing among you. Give me property among you for a burying place, so that I may bury my dead out of my sight. So that just kind of struck me that the thing that creates the impetus for Abraham to change his relationship to this land where he's simply been passing through to create a stake in this land is this tragic death and loss. It gives him a new anchor in this land where he's had no anchor. It changes the relationship. Now, as I think of a number of deaths, significant deaths that have happened, that have caught all of our attention lately. I am thinking, for example, of the death of George Floyd. I'm thinking of the death of Rayshard Brooks, two very significant, among a number of others in the United States just recently that have absolutely changed the conversation, haven't they? Or think of the 5 people, I think it is now, who have recently shown up hanging dead from trees. 4 of them black, all of them racial minorities. Wow, that is a very frightening pattern of death. Thinking in Canada, a couple of very significant deaths. Chantal Moore, who died. An Indigenous woman who died during a wellness check. Dale Culver, who recently a recommendation was made in terms of an arrest for the police in his death. These deaths are obviously significant, but just as Abraham found this significant death changed his relationship with the country where he had not found roots, it changed the relationship. I guess what I'm saying is I pray that these deaths, tragic, terrible, horrible as they are, could absolutely be an impetus for change, that they would make us all rethink our relationship to this country that maybe we just kind of been passing through. And how do we relate to this new reality? I think it's a challenge for us. So I'm going to pray. Lord our God, it is horrible, awful that these kinds of deaths were maybe needed to get our attention. Let not these horrible, terrible tragedies be doubled by our inaction and by our failure to rethink our relationship to this country where we are. The relationship of others to this country where we are. Let us seize the impetus for change. Amen.